Hey, what's up, guys? Finally got a chance to see UnderWorld Blood Wars, the latest installment in the UnderWorld franchise. And if you're a huge fan of this franchise like I am, chances are you've probably already seen the movie. But if you haven't, make sure you click away because there's going to be lots of spoilers in this video. So first things first, overall, I did enjoy the movie. I enjoyed the action, I enjoyed the transformations, and I did enjoy the story. But I will say, the movie was only like an hour and a half long, and when I left the theater, I did kind of feel like there was some substance missing from this movie. You know what I mean? Like I said, I'm a huge fan of the franchise. I've watched all the other movies probably like 10 times each, especially the first and second ones. Those are definitely my favorites, and they had a really solid story to them. This one, the story was kind of lacking, and I feel like the movie itself really threw us a curveball when they showed us the previews and the trailers, where we thought it was going to be like this epic build-up and there was going to be all this new information released, and we were finally going to see, you know, where Michael is and what's happening with her daughter. But like, that stuff was kind of just pushed off to the side throughout this movie. And then when the movie finally ends and then you find out that Michael's dead, you're basically just like, what the hell happened? You know what I mean? What made this movie franchise so awesome, especially in the first and second movies, was the love between Selene and Michael, and them having to basically battle both, you know, the Lycans and the vampires to be accepted, you know? And that's kind of like what we're all hoping for. We're hoping that she finally finds Michael, and that she has her family, and then they actually rise to the tops of the Lycans and the vampires, and they basically rule over everything. Like, that's basically what I wanted to see. And, you know, even in the previews when they were showing the new villain, Marius, he kind of looks like Scott Speedman. So I was wondering if there was a reason why he kind of looks like him. And at the end of the day, there really wasn't a reason why he looked like him. They just was the guy that he picked. Or maybe they picked him because they wanted, you know, people to think it was Michael, with like he was brainwashed, and they brought a new actor in. You know, there's a lot of angles they could have gone with. You know, there probably was a reason why they picked him, a dude that looked like Scott Speedman, to kind of play that role. But anyways, so when you finally find out, and this is the big spoiler, guys, when you finally find out that Marius killed Michael and then drained him of his blood, killed Michael, is supposed to be the most powerful being out of all the vampires and the Lycans, aside from their daughter, okay, was able to kill him and then drain all his blood. You're just kind of like, what the hell? Like, that should have never happened. They killed off a character we all fell in love with and was hoping that was going to make a comeback in future movies, and now he's gone. And basically the whole premise of this movie, or the Lycan part at least, is that Marius drained all of his blood and had been injecting himself with the blood in order to make himself more powerful, and he needed that extra power to track down Selene, to find their daughter, so that he could get basically her blood, because her blood's like the key to creating the most powerful being. And so he needs to obviously stay as strong as possible, because Selene is the strongest out of all the vampires and all the Lycans. And so the movie basically shows him open a case, and he only has like 3 vials of Michael's blood left, so he's running out of time. And that's basically the synopsis for this movie. So anyways, the action, like I said, the action was cool, and the transformations were cool, but some things I didn't like about this movie, and I'll try to go in order. One thing I didn't like, there was a scene where David saves Selene when Samira was draining her blood, and basically all the windows in the mansion were closing, and she's like, if you jump out now, you'll get burnt by the sun, and he jumps out anyways, and then Samira looks out the window and she realizes that they can walk in the daylight, which makes her want to drink Selene's blood even more to get all these extra powers, which is actually how she dies at the end, which I also thought was really stupid. When David was fighting her, and then, like, she decides to just bask in the sunlight while they're having a battle. Like, I'm pretty sure that would never happen. Granted, she's gone centuries without seeing the sun, so I can understand why some of you might think it would have happened, but I feel like she would have definitely, being the savvy person she is, would have known that if she turned her back, David was going to kill her. Like, that was kind of a dumb way to go out. But, you know, after the scene where David's carrying Selene and they go into the car and they drive away, like 2 seconds later, it's friggin' raining, and like it's been raining for weeks, you know what I mean? Because they like to keep these movies dark and gloomy, but I thought it was kind of dumb to have it be super bright and sunny, and then all of a sudden it goes to pouring rain. Like, give me a break. And then some other parts in the movie that I didn't really like was, all the covens basically work together, right? So if the coven in the north had this insane ability where you could undergo this treatment where you basically almost die and you go to like this other realm and you come back and you have like these crazy new powers like Lena did. So they thought it was a trick when Lena was basically phasing from place to place, but it turns out that that's a power that she gained and that Selene later gained when she died fighting Marius, and then they brought her back to life and put her in that pool of water. She came back being like ultra powerful, ultra fast. And that scene where she first entered the room when everyone was fighting each other, all the Lycans, all the vampires, and she like takes down like 3 or 4 and then appears at the top of the stairs. If she could move that fast, she could have killed every single Lycan in that building and the war would have been over. Like, you can't give your characters these insane powers and then act like they're not going to use those powers to get the job done. Do you know what I mean? Like, that was kind of irritating to me. And then also, they didn't really explain why Marius could transform, but he could also keep his own human face. You know what I mean? Like, there were a lot of things that happened in this movie that didn't really fully explain. The only things they really did explain was how David was the son of Amelia, which I thought was pretty cool, which made him one of the last purebloods that exists, and then I thought it was pretty weird how all of a sudden that dude Vargas, who was in charge of training Varga, was in charge of training the death dealers at the Eastern Coven and was basically Samira's lapdog, all of a sudden finds out that, David is the heir to the throne, and then he basically turns on Samira like nothing ever happened. I thought that was kind of random too. I don't know about you guys, but I guess I'm starting to sound like I really didn't like the movie. I did like the movie, but like I said, there were all these things that like just didn't really add up for me and kind of cheesed the story up. And I guess I really wanted to see Michael make his comeback. Like, I missed seeing him in these movies, especially with Selene looking for him like all the time, And I was hoping to see more from the daughter as well. I didn't expect that the daughter wasn't going to be there until the very, very, very end, where she sees her walking towards her when she's on the ice. Some other things in the movie, it was really easy to see that chick was Marius's girlfriend, I thought, the vampire that was betraying everyone. And then there was a scene where her tongue came out to like here, and I'm like, is that her real tongue? That was pretty creepy. But anyways, she looked like her face in every scene in the movie looked like she had to take a dump. Like, she was always like eyes really wide and like always looked really scared. You know what I mean? I'm like, you're a vampire. You should be looking super badass all the time, ready to fight. It was really easy to see that she was going to die really quick. Oh, another thing I wanted to talk to you guys about. So there was a scene where Lena was fighting a Lycan, okay, in the room where the pool of water is. And so they've obviously been fighting Lycans for centuries, right? And one thing that continuously irritates me is that the vampires wait for the human to turn into a Lycan, and they kind of like step back like they're in awe of this transformation that's happening that they've seen probably hundreds of times. And I'm just like, you have super speed, you've seen this transformation before, why aren't you slitting this thing's throat during mid-transformation and just being over and done with it? And obviously I can understand it was supposed to be like a cool scene, but it's just unrealistic. Like, she would have just taken that thing out during that transformation because their transformations take so long to begin with, But wrapping up this video, going towards the end, I don't know about you guys, but when Selene found out that Marius killed Michael and she's fighting him inside the cage and she reached back, I thought she was going to pull out his heart. I didn't expect her to pull out his whole friggin' spine and hips. Like, that was pretty intense. And then when she walked into the room to basically show everyone that she killed Marius, I thought she was still holding the spine and hips, and not the head, which I would have thought would have been a little more intimidating holding both. Like, hey, I ripped off his head and I pulled out his spine and hips. You guys better get the hell out of here. You know what I mean? And, what does it say that they didn't just finish off all the Lycans that were there? I think it goes to show that, Selene does still have compassion for the Lycans because obviously, her love of her life is half Lycan or was Lycan when he was obviously created. So I was expecting them just to wipe out that whole nest, but they did let him go, so, good for them. But leading up now to the next movie is probably going to be a lot more to do with the daughter. Obviously there's a lot of people that were killed. There's not a lot of vampires left, especially some of the original ones. So I'm trying to figure out where they're gonna go with this, because even in the first movie we learned everything about it, and then in the second movie we got to see Corvin, the old guy Corvin. We got to see Corvin and learn about all that history, and I just feel like in this movie we didn't really learn much. We just got to see these flashy little things that happen. We got to see this cool new eastern cavern, and we got to see this cool new cavern that was up in the mountains, but there wasn't a lot of substance to it like the other movies. And I'm just starting to ramble at this point, so I'm going to end this movie review. I really want to know what you guys thought about this movie. Did you enjoy it? Did you hate it? Are you looking forward to the next one? Are you discouraged for the next one coming out? Be sure to let me know down in that comment section below. Hit that like and subscribe button. And as always, more good stuff coming soon. See you guys.